Today's women are choosing careers that have traditionally been male-dominated more and more. Mosaic's Lexi Chatham spoke with one of these women, Sue Stroud, a lady in blue. Here's her portrait of a female cop.
For most people, the word police conjures up the image
Police!
or,
May I see your driver's license, please?
but more often, a police officer's day is like this.
Did you call a policeman?
Yes, I did.
Okay, what's the problem?
We had been out of town over the weekend. Didn't notice anything unusual about the car last night when we came in, but this morning when I went out to get the paper, I noticed the car door was ajar.
That's a typical call for Officer Sue Stroud of the Columbia Police Department. She's one of only a handful of women in a profession dominated by men, a profession most people consider strenuous and consistently exciting. At least that's what Sue thought before she became an officer 4 years ago.
You think it's going to be go, go, go all the time. That idea had to go out the window because a lot of time it's very quiet and you don't have those exciting things to do. You have duties such as patrolling your residential and your business areas and looking for things that are suspicious. But there again, I think that's one of the big things that not only I, but just about everybody that comes into the job, it's not as exciting as people seem to think it is.
Although the excitement may not be constant, the potential for danger is. Any time an officer hits the streets, he could be killed.
And that's why you want to, at all times, be cautious and not let your guard down, even in situations that might seem to be gentle situations, things that would not explode into a maybe harmful situation. But you always want to have that cautiousness to make you aware that that is always a threat. There's always a threat of getting hurt or getting into a situation that turns out to be very violent. But you don't dwell on it. Like I say, it's in you, and you got to think about it in a way of being cautious. But as far as driving around thinking maybe I could be killed tomorrow, I don't really think about it.
And I bet you have to have a lot of faith in your fellow officers, too.
Yeah, that's one thing about police. It is a kind of a fraternity where you do depend on that other officer at times to back you up and to watch your back as you might be watching his in a situation where things could get violent. And that's why it's so important to be able to trust all your coworkers. When there's a time that somebody might be trusting me for their help, I've got to be able to come through, and if we get into a hectic situation, to be able to jump in there and do something as far as defense goes to not only protect the citizens, but also protect each other.
So with this paradoxical mixture of boredom and danger, what could motivate a woman to become a police officer? For Sue Stroud, it was her love of people.
You work with people, different people all the time. It's not just the same. You know, it's always different people, always different problems, even though the problem in general might be, the same problem you dealt with before. It's going to be somewhat different because of the people involved, and everybody's different.
And it's not just a job where you're stuck behind a desk for 8 hours a day?
Right. You're out in the open, even though I'm confined to a certain area as far as my patrol. It's not like being in a building or anything else. I am out in the public, and plus I like to be on the outside, as far as instead of being inside of a building somewhere in an office. Out here, you just have a lot more freedom, and it's just a lot better.
I talked with Sue both at work patrolling her area and at home washing her dishes, and found out she's often chided about being a police officer.
Growing up, everybody always called police officers pigs, and still get it from time to time. I just have a tendency to laugh about it, for one thing, because the kids that are doing it, they would not really mean to do it to make you mad or anything, and I find myself laughing back at the kids when they do it, and it just creates a joke instead of something that's going to make somebody mad. And another thing is, there's always a saying. In fact, I saw a T-shirt with a pig on it with a badge. The pig had a badge on, and up under it, it was pride, integrity, and guts. And so I thought that was really neat, and it turned something around that was really derogatory into something that's, kind of fits a police officer's job.
And other people wonder why she's not at home with her husband.
I respect the people that have that idea, but as everything else is changing, so is the work areas for women.
Just as women's roles are changing, so is the public attitude toward women holding non-traditional jobs. Where once a subject might have provoked controversy, today people's reactions are more likely.
As long as they can do the job.
If they can do the job, yes. If not, no. I think it's great. Probably nicer than the male cop.
Why not? I think that as long as they're fighting for all other rights, that active duty on the street, surely.
I think it's fine. My roommate's mom is an officer.
It's fine with me. In fact, I saw an officer about 10 minutes ago. I saw her, and I thought it was great.
I think it's terrific.
Definitely.
Sure, I see no reason why not.
Why not?
Even some of Sue's co-workers, who were leery of a woman on the force, later became her greatest allies.
Once you get adjusted to it, you forget about her being a female.
Officer Stroud is such a professional officer. Her expertise, her ability to do just about anything she's assigned to. There's nothing that she can't do when she's assigned to do it.
I'll treat her just like any other man that's out there. If I get into a situation and I need backup, I'll go 110 with having Sue back me up, because I know she'll be there and she'll be giving it 110 to help me.
Her boss, Lieutenant James Swisher, explains why Sue is so efficient as a police officer.
Sue is a level-headed individual. She's one with compassion, yet efficiency. She does an excellent job. She doesn't jump haphazardly into things. She tries to evaluate the situations and handle them on a workable basis.
But the opinion that matters the most to Sue is that of her husband, David.
I think it has to be a joint thing. You've got to have a partner, such as a husband, to agree with your job and not be against you, because it's hard enough. It's a hard enough job to do, but without the support of your mate, I think it would be almost impossible to do.
And David gives her all the support she needs. Just as Sue has financially supported their family while David attended med school, he has emotionally supported her in an unorthodox career decision.
So it's always an interesting conversation starter, and they usually ask a series of questions. How did she get interested, and what did you think of that? And I'm usually truthful. She got interested in school, and I didn't really expect her to ever be a police officer, but I always tell them that she never expected me to be a doctor either, so we're even. I'm very proud of the fact, because not only is she, I get to brag here, right? Not only is she a police officer, but she's a very good one. She's received numerous commendatory letters from the public. She's a breathalyzer operator, so she's had extra training for that. She's a field training officer for the department, and they often call on her to enact scenarios with new recruits. So, she's not only a person who is a female, who is an officer of the law, she's also a person who's very confident in her position and sought after to do functions that are necessary to the continuation of that profession.
Following classroom training, the new recruits go through field training, supervised individual instruction following the schedules of different officers. The field training officers are chosen carefully by recommendation of superiors and the approval of a board. Sergeant Kurt Lewis of the training department explains the qualifications needed to be a training officer.
The field training officer serves as a role model to a large extent for this new officer. And not only is it a recapping and learning how to apply the laws and the principles, but one of the important jobs of the field training officer is to give the new officer a sense of proportion, a sense of where they fit into the community, a sense of the importance of the job, and how to really apply these skills in a useful, productive, and professional way. This is probably the most important thing that the field training officer has to offer to the trainee, this sense of how it's really done, giving this new person a sense of confidence. Here's someone in a training capacity that's been there, has done it, has gone through the training, has been through these experiences, and can say, not only here's how it's done, but look, here's how you're going to feel, or I understand how you feel, and this is why you feel this way.
Sue Stroud is often one of the field training officers. Sergeant Lewis tells why he's eager to assign candidates to Sue.
Officer Stroud is as effective a field training officer as we could ever hope to find, I believe. Her sense of dedication, not only to the department, but to law enforcement, is extremely high. Her maturity and her ability to not only know the material and be effective with it, but to pass it on in a meaningful way. I think it's almost a cliche, but so frequently we find in any field, the person who's the expert or highly knowledgeable is not always the good teacher. But Sue has demonstrated time and again that she is able to teach effectively. She is the type of training officer that I would not hesitate to put a trainee who is having some difficulty with.
Officer Bruce McLean is one of the people trained under Sue Stroud. He found he could relate easily to her. That idea was echoed by Officer D.R. Cato, another of Sue's trainees.
Well, at first it was pretty hard because her being a woman and all, the kind of background that I had, but she put me right at ease when I was going through training with her, and her advice and professionalism were outstanding. You know, she just made me feel it on my own, and I was able to handle situations that I normally had been having trouble with, but they were a lot easier because Sue was there, and she made me feel more at ease, and I didn't get all tensed up.
She made sure, you know, that you didn't get in trouble or make a mistake at the same time that she was doing her job. It's hard to explain, but, you know, it's just a feeling that you have. You're glad that they're there. And she just made you feel comfortable, you know, and that she was there.
Another training activity is scenarios. As part of classroom training, the candidates role-play various situations which they're likely to encounter on the job. A recent successful candidate in one of Sue's scenario classes is Deidre Priester. She's also surprised many people by her choice of professions.
Most people, they say, what, a woman? You know, wanting to get into that? But everyone's kind of excited, you know, about anyone being a police officer. They want to know why, of course.
Probably the person most surprised was her husband.
We were already engaged when I became interested in joining the police department in Atlanta. He really didn't like it at all. I mean, he was strongly against it. But once he saw that that's what I wanted to do, he sort of went along with it. Right now, he's still kind of apprehensive. You know, it is a dangerous job, but he's supporting me.
How about the rest of your family?
Oh, they're real eager. They really like this. They couldn't believe I wanted to be a police officer, but they're behind me 100%.
One of the skills Sue Stroud tries to instill in these trainees is the ability to reason with people.
I don't ever claim to be stronger than a lot of men. I think maybe some men I might be. But, you know, I do have to rely on other skills, such as talking. A lot of times you can talk people into doing what you would want them to do without resorting to any kind of force. Sometimes you do have to resort to force, and there are people that you can't talk into doing what you want them to do, but a lot of times I find that if you just take just a minute, you can talk to a person instead of just using force on them. I think that's where my role plays a part, that I have to rely on that sometimes. But therefore also the training, as far as defensive training goes, you know, you've got to be ready for those times, and you can't ever back down in a situation that you should be in control of, such as possibly a violent situation. You cannot just because somebody appears to be stronger than you physically or anything else, you can't just walk away. You've got to stand your ground and enforce the law like you've been sworn to do.
And Sue's key to enforcing the law effectively? Consideration.
Even the people that I place under arrest, if I treat them as a human being, then they're more likely to treat me the same. Even though I'm doing my job and placing them under arrest, deep down they know that and they realize that. And I think that makes a difference because I do treat them still as a human being, not like an animal or something.
It was Sue's professionalism and compassion which led to her selection as Officer of the Year in her district. Lieutenant Swisher explains her award.
Every month we meet and we select an Officer of the Month who has outperformed and done an outstanding job during that past month. And as a result of this, she's been Officer of the Month, and she was chosen out of all those officers, which is a requirement. You have to be the Officer of the Month during the year to be eligible. And she's outperformed and just stood out and among all the other officers, which we have 20 here. She's done an excellent job. So all the supervisors are in agreement who the Officer of the Year is here, and that was Officer Sue Stroud.
Lieutenant Swisher says Sue was chosen because she went the extra mile. Many times in cases where having a female police officer is an advantage. Cases like these described by Sergeant Norman Caldwell.
Female officers are better, especially in the rape cases involving juveniles, especially female juveniles. For some reason, it seems like they can reason with these people better than a male officer who's usually kind of gruff, you might say. Not that we're any kind of awesome creatures, anything like that, but a female who usually has a little more passionate, more compassionate in these situations.
Compassion was what was needed the day I rode with Sue Stroud as we answered 2 natural death cases back to back. Comforting distraught families, subduing domestic disputes, apprehending fleeing felons. All these are part of a police officer's duty. And then there are the unusual cases.
I got a call in reference to a boa constrictor missing from its owner. It came out that it was a 5 to 6 foot boa with a yellow spot under his head. And I kind of made a joke out of it. It's not a call that I get every day to look for a 5 to 6 foot snake, and snakes are not my favorite people. So as I arrived on the location where the snake was missing, there were a couple of officers there, and when I got out and just kind of with a smile on my face looked at him and said, now if I see a 5 to 6 foot snake walking down, or should I say sliding down the sidewalk, I am to get out of my patrol car, walk over, lift his head, and if I don't see a yellow spot under his head, drop his head back and just leave it there, and go away. So it became kind of a funny thing because, like I say, this is not a call that I'm used to, but that's just a call that was kind of unusual. It's not one, like I say, that you get all the time, but it was kind of a funny thing in a sense. And in another sense, we really wanted to find a snake because, we kept thinking of a small child or even not a small child, people like me that didn't realize what was going on. And here's this humongous snake, it could really send somebody in a panic.
With all this variety, could Sue Stroud ever quit the police department?
Well, there are times that you have bad days, and just like any other profession, and days that you feel not as up to doing what you should do and everything. But overall, when I really know that I know what I want to do, this is it. This is the only job I think I could really be happy doing. And getting out of law enforcement, I think, would be a hard thing to do. It's like the old saying goes, once you get it in your blood, it's there. And I think that's about the way it is.
For the South Carolina Educational Radio Network, I'm Lexi Chatham.
That's